Let's face it, parenting is the most important job on earth. Every day presents a stack of different challenges, and more often than not, the answer is outside of the box. On this podcast, we will offer proven strategies, interview pioneers in education, give insights into how to be successful parents, and even share our imperfect experiences of being parents ourselves. We're all in on this journey, and we will span the globe to find out what is working and who has the answers. This is the Sound Foundations for Parenting podcast. Here are your hosts, Darren McCarthy and Brian Powers.
Hello, Darren.
Hello, Brian.
What's going on? So today we are talking to Cornelius Mosby from Super Self Institute.
Yes, we're going to get into some leadership stuff.
Yeah, and really, I mean, at the heart of it, kindness. I don't want to sound too cliche, but something the world needs right now is a little more kindness. And why don't we start with teaching the youth that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a base skill that requires a degree of energy, right?
Yeah. Well, and if you want to talk about energy and passion, that's Cornelius. I think he's definitely, from all of his walks of life and what led him to today, I think that's the fire that you hear when he talks about courage, kindness, creativity, and being focused, and teaching all four of those, and how somebody becomes a super version of themselves.
Yeah, we really haven't had anyone like him on the show yet. And so, yeah. I don't think there's anything in our intro we're going to be able to say to kind of to line everybody up for Cornelius. So just get your boots ready and put your seatbelt on.
Yeah, definitely. Before we do that, before we get into the show, let's remind everybody, please subscribe wherever you're listening to our podcast. Check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all those channels. And make sure you check out our website, soundfoundationsforparenting.net, where you can sign up for our email blasts and more information. So definitely check that out so you get notices when we have new episodes and new things coming out.
Right. And don't forget to go to the resource pages. Everybody's looking for what to do when school starts.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things in there that aren't going to take up a lot of your money, nor is it going to take up a lot of your time, but it is going to hit some really important issues.
Yeah. And make sure you tell us, if there's something on there you want, but you don't see it, let us know what you want to see. We love the feedback. So without further ado, let's talk to our friend Cornelius Mosby.
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome, Cornelius Mosby from Super Self Institute. Cornelius, we really appreciate you being on with us. Maybe give us a little bit of background and tell us your background and how you got into doing Super Self Institute.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. I really do. Okay, so I'm originally from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. I spent, majority of my young years there. I played basketball. I'll try not to ramble, but I played basketball, and I went to college, and I went to Simpson College out in Iowa. Completely different environment than Chicago. It's like cornfields in the middle of nowhere. And I played ball there, and I had I thought I wanted to become a professional athlete, but when my senior year reached, I was just like, I don't think my heart is in it anymore. And during this time, I was working at a treatment facility for youth. And as I, went to work every day, I interacted with the youth, and I was noticing, the difference that I was making. I felt like this is probably something that I'll probably do for a long time. And so once I graduated from Simpson College, I left the job. I graduated with a degree in criminal justice. And so I went back to Chicago. So I had a change of plans. My stepfather, just to kind of venture off for a little bit, my stepfather, he just retired as a Chicago police officer. So, when I went back home, I figured, I was thinking more about security, because when you're into social work, you don't really make that much. And so I'm getting out of college, and I'm just like, I need security. I want to have a nice foundation. I see the benefits my stepfather has and things like that, and the differences he's making in the community. And so, I passed the background test, the physical, the written, and I got to the polygraph. So I applied for the Chicago police officer. That's what I figured I was going to do. And so I was the true story. I was parked outside the police station right when I was getting ready to take the polygraph, and I was just sitting in my car, and at the last second, I just drove off. I was just like, this is not for me. My stepfather was disappointed. My mom was disappointed. It's like, what are you doing? And so I was just like, it wasn't, because I don't even like guns. Like, I don't even like, so why
part of the job.
Right, exactly. And my anxiety is bad. And growing up on the south side of Chicago is just like, it's just like you always have your head on a swivel, and it's just like, what do I really want to be in this type of environment? For 20, 30 years, where I'm like, and I give, many, like, I'm grateful for all the police officers, around the world, and I, the work that my stepfather put in, it's awesome, it's wonderful, but I just knew that it wasn't for me. And so during this time while I was doing the process of, becoming a police officer, I was still a social worker. And so it's to a point where I had to work 2 full-time jobs as a social worker just to, make a decent amount of money, especially with a college degree. You think that you're supposed to make a certain amount of money, but they, they won't really
at least enough to pay back your loans, right?
Exactly.
You make a difference. You just don't make a lot of money.
Exactly. And so I worked at this treatment facility in Indiana, man. It was so hostile, anything that you can think about a youth going through, they went through it there, like from, all types of different traumatic experiences, from abuse, from neglect, drugs, different crimes around the community, and you just dealt with all type of youth. But then as I worked there, I started to develop more of an understanding, and it's crazy, and I started to develop more of patience. It's wild how that works. But long story short, I just had the wildest journey. So while I was working 2 full-time jobs as a social worker, as I was working 2 full-time jobs as a social worker, I started to think about entrepreneurial opportunities. So I got into real estate. And so I bought my first piece of property on the south side of Chicago, a 3-unit apartment building. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I can make a difference this way. I can start investing back into my community. And so I bought my first piece of property. And then I went to a point where I got away from social work altogether. And so I bought a contract through this distribution company where it's through Aunt Millie's. It's a company through Aunt Millie's and Snyder's, and I had 3 employees, and long story short, it was miserable. I hated it, and so I went back to social work, and I started doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, and I started to really dig deep into what I really wanted out of life. And I started going to this thing called Toastmasters. I don't know if you guys heard of Toastmasters, right?
Yep.
And so I started to develop more confidence in my speaking abilities. Then I started going to different schools and organizations in Chicago and teaching them about emotional intelligence and courage and kindness and love and empathy. And so I developed, and that's kind of how I developed Super Self out of it. My mentor challenged me. He said, okay, what happens when you go speak to the kids for an hour? And like, what happens after that? It was just like, I was like, I don't know. Like, and so that's when I developed Super Self Institute. Like, okay, I have more to offer. You have the books and the games and the different courses, a way to, keep in contact with me. And so I'm like, okay, not only that, I need to develop a team of people with different specialized knowledge, because I may not be able to reach a kid in suburban Illinois or someone in Idaho, but someone else on my team probably could. And so that's kind of how it came about with Super Self Institute. Yeah.
Wow. What's right out of the gate is that people don't realize that when it's hard growing up and you figure out a way out, community service is putting yourself back in.
Yeah.
And I don't think people, they just think, oh, that person's a tremendous leader and they they grew up in that tough environment. But that to me is the hardest part. That's why, you kind of waver. It's like, you know exactly what you're going back into.
Right.
Which is fast, and that's, kudos to you for being able to take that step and knowing what you're getting into.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so I basically was in the social work field for the last 10 years or so, and I'm still in the community, even out here in Denver. And like you said, even in like the rougher areas in Denver, when you're working with different people from different backgrounds and different traumatic experiences, like you're taking that on. And so it could be heavy sometimes, but I think it's my life's work,
And you really married the entrepreneurial with the social work and the leadership side, and trying to bring almost your own trainings and products out to be the after effect of, like what you said, your mentor said, what's going to happen? You come speak to a school for an hour. What's the next steps?
Exactly. Yeah, you're totally right about that. He played devil's advocate with that, and it's just like, okay, all right. And so now I'm constantly thinking about, how can I add more value to the youth? How can I create more value? How can I make, how can I help them understand what it truly means to be kind? How can I help them understand what it truly means to be courageous? And so my mind is like constantly turning. Like I'm literally obsessed with the idea of creating and adding value to the youth. And so, it's crazy.
And it adds to the consistency, because that's what they need. That's where you see the change. Is over the consistency of doing it. Maybe walk us through, like you said, what does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to be a true leader? What are you teaching, the youth when you go and you meet with them?
Yeah, for sure. So when we talk about different ideals and different philosophies and different, what we believe, like we all have different perspectives, right? And when you think about different experts and things like that. But so my idea of what it truly means to be a leader, so I base it off 4 different components: courage, kindness, creativity, and focus. I believe in order to be a leader, you have to be courageous. You have to be courageous to lead a group of people. I also believe you have to be kind and tactful in the way that you speak to people. And you have to be creative, because the world is constantly changing. And of course, you have to be focused on the task at hand. And so you ask me, so what does it mean to be kind? Okay, so it's a lot going on in the world today. It's so much that's going on. And people are probably a lot more irritable than what they usually would be, and you come across, it's a lot of tension and so many, it's just crazy times right now. So to maintain a kind attitude when you're frustrated, when you're irritable, when someone cuts you off while you're driving, or when someone says something mean to you on Facebook or on social media, to be able to respond in a kind way takes a certain type of power. And that's why I believe that kindness is truly a superpower. So, and as far as being courageous, I teach that when I'm teaching leadership, courage. A lot of people think that being courageous is just this big bravado guy who's a Superman saving someone from a burning building. Even though those are very heroic things, those are important things. But when you talk about courage, I'm talking about everyday life things, everyday situations, such as walking away from a conflict, choosing a good emotion for a bad situation. For kids, doing the right thing even if it embarrasses you. And so choosing love over hate. So that's what it truly means to be courageous. And as far as focus, being able to just cut out all distractions. and to stay focused on the task at hand when there's so much going on in the world today. It takes a superpower. It's different strategies that you need to know or a different type of understanding to remain focused and to be creative and to really imagine and really bring out the powers that you have within you to create whatever that you want, because we have the capacity to create absolutely anything that we want. Everything around you. I think it was Dr. Wayne Dyer that says everything around you started off as an idea. And so that's how powerful the human mind is. And so we can literally create anything we want. And sometimes the bigger the creation, the more patience you need in order for it to become a reality. So
that's the funny thing, because people think self-confidence is an internal thing. But what happens is if you don't have the self-confidence to kind of deliver your gift, you're holding somebody else out from getting it, right?
Exactly. I agree 1,000%. You're doing yourself and the world a disservice if you're not getting that message out, those gifts that you have out. So yeah, that self-confidence is so important. And I really had to develop that over the years, because growing up in an environment such as Southside Chicago is a lot of negativity, man. And I'm not saying that it's all negativity, but I'm just saying that I've seen a lot of negative stuff, and I hear a lot of negative things about, I've heard a lot of negative things about myself. And so it's just like you have to rewire your brain and, those positive affirmations, man, those the self-confidence building things like I am powerful, I am capable, all those things. So it's important that we
your mantras, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's important that we learn how to rewire our brain, to do those things. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you were talking about doing one session, like an hour, 45-minute speech, and then kind of going away. It makes me think that like it's bigger than it seems, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens to kids is a lot of times parents go away.
Yeah.
Right. Like my dad left when I was 3, so that idea of somebody coming in, making an impact on your life and going away.
Yeah.
That's what I love about your program is you don't go away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you give them that motivation, and then it's like, okay, this is just a beginning. We're going to fire together.
Exactly. And then I do every Sunday, I do something called Super Self Sundays, where I give them a message to pretty much start their week off right. Some type of inspirational, encouraging message every Sunday. And so they can always revert back to any of those. They can always, they can always reach out to me, and I have so much different things that I can give to help, to help inspire their life, to help keep them going and things like that. Super Self Institute, I should say. So, yeah.
Right. And you have books as well, from what I understand.
Yeah, books. We have the journals. It's like a self-reflective guided journals that they can write in every day. We have the Super Self Institute card game that I created, just finished, like I want to say a few weeks ago. What else we have? We have the audio books, the ebooks. And I'm constantly thinking of different ways to add more value. Anything that I can just think of. I have the board game coming soon, the Super Self Institute board game, as well as of course the courses. And I'm starting to recruit more instructors to, like I was saying, like, because I'm just being real about it. Like I may not be able to connect with someone from a different country or someone who grew up completely different than me, and so getting people with different backgrounds and different specialized knowledge to reach the youth that I can't reach, but still have the same mission of turning these youth into super leaders. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's an important. Like, so I tell this story. I used to teach in Beaufort, South Carolina was my first job.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was the deep South, and it was a 99%, free lunch. And it was a different environment for me as a young kid coming out of New York.
Yeah.
And, when you talk about kind of trying to connect to someone, and I think it was more than anything else, I think it was the fact that I was from New York that made me not not connect the way I should have.
Yeah.
People can get through a lot of things, but if I got upset with the kids, I'd be like, "What are you doing? What's the matter with you?" And then they would start laughing, It's like I just lost the whole class. But so what you're talking about, having somebody that totally can relate, and on the other side, my wife ended up going to Milton Hershey School and taught there for 12 years.
Okay.
And those are kids that are coming from inner city, and they get a full scholarship. And the Chocolatier kind of created this whole program. But the idea was, and on her level, she was able to connect right away.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you it's a lot about personality, and I think it's just it's one thing or another.
Yeah,
personality than anything else, right?
Yeah, for sure. And when you're thinking about long term too, like what you were saying, like you taught in the South, and that long term, people start to become more receptive to who you are as a person. So you probably start to grow on them eventually. But then it's also like for me, and when that initial when I'm speaking on that initial contact with the youth, they're like, man, who are you? Like if someone, like I was just saying, like if someone from, I don't know, New England, so I'm just doing something.
Right.
Initial contact, man, who are you? But then I'm sure eventually, as you build that rapport with that person, naturally, they start to grow on you in a way. So
the walls come down.
Yeah, exactly.
One brick at a time, though, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Sledgehammer and start breaking the walls down.
Exactly. That's how it always goes. Yeah.
Well, ironically, the guy that there was a guy that I taught with. I was the English guy, and he was a South Carolina history guy.
Okay.
He was teacher of the year the next year.
Oh wow.
And he looked like me. Everything was the same, but except he was from that area.
Yeah.
So he knew kids' moms and grandmas and the whole thing, and just kind of totally attached. And so it's interesting that you bring that in. So that background, the social work background, really sounds like it kind of is the fabric that holds all your programs together.
It does, man. Like I was telling you, like so. The more I work in this field, and the more I educate myself, I'm constantly trying to learn. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't really know anything as well. But like just being in this field, you start to have more understanding of human behavior. Like, for example, when I first started off in the field of social work, like when a kid would yell at me, call me names, the N-word, or whatever the case may be, like, I'm like, man, why is he like calling me this? Or why is he? And so as I grew in the field, I realized what someone else says about me isn't necessarily a reflection of who I am. It's more so of a reflection of what they're going through inside, like a certain type of pain that they're going through. So instead of me getting irritated by it now, like when I come across certain things like that, it's more so like, what need can I meet? Like, what's going on inside with this individual right now? Like, why is he upset? So I step outside my body for a second and really ask myself that, in different type of ways. So as you, like I was saying, being in this field, you start to it's a good foundation for super self. You're really able to dive in and really create different things. It's just different, man. So
what it sounds like you're a big reader, like Dr. Wayne Dyer. So like, who are some of your leadership influences?
Okay, so one, Dr. Wayne Dyer, he's like my favorite all time, man. I could read, I could listen to anything, and he speaks in such a monotone, but I'm like I grasp onto everything that he says. Dr. Wayne Dyer, I like, as far as speakers, I like Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, I think that's how you say it, Graziosi.
Yep.
Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, the founder of Mind Valley. He wrote a book called The Code to the Extraordinary Mind. His name Vishen. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's awesome. He's an awesome guy. From what I see from the outside looking in. Who else? There's so many more.
But I like what Eric Thomas, I like a lot of his stuff. And he's pivoted recently to talk to the youth. Because basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, saying to the adults, you guys are already screwed up. He's like, why wouldn't I start with the easy stuff with the kids? He's like, I can build the foundation there. He's like, I got to rebuild the foundation with the adults. So it's a good point. I mean, for us, like, take present day. I mean, we're going to be in this for a little while longer. What can parents do? What can grandparents do at home with their kids now? Because the community has shrunk essentially. Kids are not in school. Who knows what we're going back to? How can they work, within their neighborhoods? I know with my kids, we're allowing them in the neighborhood, but that's really it. So how can we work on, courage, kindness, leadership within kind of the home now with what's going on?
Oh, it just starts with just educating yourself, on those topics of kindness and courage and focus and creativity. Like understanding what it truly means to be kind and what it truly means to be courageous, and it's also important. Like whatever for me, like when I'm teaching the youth something, I also lead by example. For an example, kindness. I teach them kindness, what it truly means to be kind, and I do whatever I can to pay it forward, to express kindness, to show them what kindness really means. Because we can't create a kind environment on the outside if we're not kind in the inside. It's cliche or what corny as it may sound, but it's so true. It's so true in so many ways. So yeah, I just say just educate yourself on the idea of what it truly means to be kind, what it truly means to be courageous. Courageous, walking away from a conflict, choosing a good emotion for a hostile situation. Educating, understanding what it means, and using those tools for yourself, and then teaching the youth or your kids what those things really mean.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, leading by example, it's tough too, because then you try and turn the TV on or the internet onto the world, and let's there are not many leaders that are leading by example of kindness and courage and all that kind of good stuff. So to bring it home, you have to definitely be the example inside too.
Exactly. And I truly feel like, man, like I forgot what Super Stuff Sunday I talked about being kind, but maybe like a few weeks ago. But I know I hear people say, man, like kindness, like people take my kindness for granted and things like that. Well, I kind of played, like I was just, like I asked the camera or the audience questions, like who are you hanging around that is taking your kindness for granted? If you feel like someone is taking your kindness for granted, you don't need to be around those people in the first place. And I also believe that kindness, like it is our responsibility, like our humane responsibility to nourish the environment, nourish the world with good emotions like love and kindness, and to not pollute it with those toxic emotions, because like it ruins things. Like and people in the end, kindness always wins. I don't care what anyone says, kindness will always win. Always. You lead, like when you try to lead with toxic emotions, man, you tend to destroy things, and not in a good way whatsoever. So,
right. Yeah. It takes that much more energy to push something negative out.
Exactly. So I've seen people. I'm gonna mention it again. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, a lot of people led with so you have a lot of retaliation going on. People hurt someone else in your family or friend, and so they feel like they got to retaliate, and they retaliate, and someone else retaliate on them, and someone else retaliate on them, and somebody go to jail, someone ends up dying. It never works. It never works. And so, and even if we're not even talking about something as dramatic as gun violence or going to prison, let's just talk about a simple argument. Everybody just fight for the need to be right. And then you create some resentment, man, from other parties. You burn bridges, when this person could be, you never know, this person could help build a bridge to like your wildest dreams, and so, but you kind of burn that by rudeness or by being unkind to this person. And so And it's just important because you get that urge, like you get angry with someone like triggers you, you know. And it's like, no, I'm not letting this go. But it's just like it's almost like you have to like fight this urge to retaliate. You have to fight this urge to just want to be right. And it's just, I don't know. You get rewarded. I don't know, in a weird way, the universe rewards you for being kind. And so I feel like
we're at the opposite end of that spectrum right now, further away from there we've ever been, and we need that more than ever. And teach our children, because like we just said, you know, the adults, I guess, are already screwed up. So we need to start. Maybe we just need to start with the kids, and they will they'll show us a little bit more.
It's fascinating because we met you through Dubai.
Yeah.
So you think about that, right? Why did she, like, why did we get connected with her? Because she's kind, doing the right thing for kids and families.
Yep.
Why did she connect us to you? Same thing. And it's like, you know, I thought I had to laugh because I saw, you know, he's from Chicago. I'm like, well, how did we get from Dubai to Chicago? You know? That's the way kind of the world works, you know, and our world can be bigger, and we could be, you know, more unified in our thinking, as long as, you know, it comes from the right place.
Exactly. You know? Like I said, man, kindness builds bridges to your wildest dreams. From Dubai to Chicago to New York, it's wild, man. It's wild.
I think we just got our little clip right there. Mark the minute. That's great. So you did what was the last like presentation you did? And then, like, you know, did you take on new clients from there? And
okay. So the last presentation I did, so I had Adams State University. I just did that right before COVID hit in March, I want to say, around that time. And then that was like my last like one that was like recorded. But the one after that was in, I want to say, just recently. What's this, August? So I want to say July.
I hear you.
2020 still.
I did like a book group at the Denver Children's Home. I did a book group on my books. I went, gave them the books. Well, it was like a weekly thing. Books we read, and we go over the chapters and what it means to be courageous. How did this character show courageous and whatever. But yeah, so I want to say like July, but like in a small group setting. But the last big one was in March at Adams State University.
And then from there, they watch you and then they go?
So yeah, I stay in contact with them. So I give them video, I give them books, journals, and things like that. They stay in contact with me if they have any questions and things like that. So with this one is a little bit more. The one at Denver Children's Home is a little bit more. I'm more close with them. So they have like a little bit instant access to me. But the ones the girls, because I spoke to the women. Soccer team, volleyball team, lacrosse team, basically a few of the women's athletes, and so they pretty much stay in contact with me through social media. So yeah,
it sounds like you're giving a lot of your time as well. So I don't know how you sleep, but you know,
yeah, I don't know.
Later, is that how it goes?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I love it though, so it's cool. You know, I don't really look at it like me like spreading myself thin or whatever. It's just like it's just, you know,
passion fuels a lot of it.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah.
What's your big vision?
Big vision, honestly, is to go worldwide. I want to turn 1 billion youth into super leaders. So I want to build. Honestly, I got the wildest dreams, man. I want to build facilities, Super Self Institute facilities. I want to have these huge events where, you know, youth can come and network, and we throw different what is it? Like, I want to reenact some parts of the book, you know, to start off like some of the events, but then you want to have speakers from all different backgrounds and games and just a huge events and I want the facility to be like, what is it? Almost like a weekly training for the youth, or however much training they may need, you know. And I just want to have like a super self game room, super self library, super self auditorium, super self training room, all this stuff. I got so much, but long story short, I want super self to be worldwide.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can see it. I see it. Don't you, Darren?
I
can see it from the passion coming through the video.
Oh man, thanks, man. Hey, I'm obsessed with it. Like, I'm literally obsessed with it, and I want it to just be a movement of super leaders, because I feel like that can make the world like really a better place. And I know who I am. Like, I know where I'm coming from, and I know that I put my heart into it. I'm a person that, and I don't want to say it in a cocky way, but I feel like I'm one of the people in the world who needs to lead something like this, you know, and because I feel like the world really needs it. Like I said, like, we all have gifts. You have a gift, Brian. You have a gift, Darren. You have a gift, and we have gifts. And if we don't give our gifts to the world, we're doing the world a disservice, you know. And so, yeah, and that's just how I feel about it, you know.
More than now than ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So tell us, website, how can people find out more?
Yeah, for sure. So the website is www.superselfinstitute.com. Instagram, superself _institute. Twitter, super _institute, and Facebook, super self institute, and YouTube, super self institute. I'm going to eventually, so I put most of my videos on social media, but eventually I'm going to, you know, put everything on the website. Just maybe from the short clips from the social media to the website. But for now, I put everything on all those social media platforms.
We'll definitely, share that and share all of your social media handles, and then and your website as well, and the show notes to get people to check out, for more information.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that.
Cornelius Mosby, we really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. Super Self Institute is your passion. I'm not even going to say your business, and we look forward to having you on again soon.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys so much, man.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Sound Foundations for Parenting podcast with your hosts, Darren and Brian. Find them on social media at Sound Foundations for Parenting. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And we'll catch you next time on the Sound Foundations for Parenting podcast.